Hello, hello. I apologise, I meant to put a message in the group yesterday. I would be late this week. I was travelling again yesterday. And it looks like I've slept in my top, but that's what the suitcase has done to it. So my apologies. Today I want to share with you about imagination. You know, imagination actually creates reality. Now, you might believe that and you might not. I had a fair understanding of it in here, but not in here. And because my belief wasn't there, when I was imagining, I wasn't seeing particularly good results. So what we see around us is nothing more than a manifestation of past thoughts. When you think about it, you know, anything you look around you was first a thought before it was created. And you might say, yes, a human thought about it, but then he created it with his own hands. Did he? You know, I believe that man has got free will as far as thought goes, and no free will, or very little free will, when it comes to actions. Let me explain. We have the free will to think what we want to think. And we think with our conscious mind, then we have our subconscious, and only those thoughts that are repeated a lot, or those thoughts that have a lot of emotion attached to them, find their way into the subconscious. The subconscious reacts by creating a frequency to our thought, or we react through the programming in the subconscious mind. For instance, if I said I could manifest $100,000 in 5 minutes, unless I had a really big belief in that, in either the law of attraction or a business venture or something I'm already part of, that I could do that, I wouldn't. Like, if I didn't have that belief wouldn't be in the subconscious mind. So unless I was lucky enough to win a draw in a lottery or something, it most likely wouldn't happen. And that's because the subconscious didn't agree with the thought that I can manifest 100,000 in that short a time. So the subconscious acts on every thought we've got, produces the vibration in the body, and instigates action. So, you know, as we've mentioned in a past lesson, if we're thinking about one thing consciously but it doesn't balance with our subconscious mind, we most likely won't act on what we're thinking. So, you know, that is where the conscious and subconscious mind comes in. But imagination is the beginning of creation. And we think in pictures. I've mentioned this before. You know, think of your car. You suddenly got a picture of it in your mind. You don't have to deliberately create a picture. A picture comes as soon as you think about it. Think about a tree. You know, you've got a picture of a tree straight away in your mind. Think about your front door. You know, think about the lemon, cut it and put it in your mouth. I'm sure most of you have done the lemon exercise. Our body reacts to our thinking, but it reacts according to the program in the subconscious mind. So creation begins with choosing a picture, choosing a thought, and then getting emotionally involved with it. And then manifestation goes on from there. The subconscious takes over once we're emotionally involved, it goes to the subconscious. The subconscious takes over, determines the frequency in our body. We start to attract what we need, but we also are inspired to take action. Now, anything held on the screen of the mind, either feared or revered, either something we don't like or something we love, will turn into form. It does every time. Now, depending on the depth of that vision and the depth of the feeling determines how long it's going to take. So you might be doing something, you might get an envelope in the mail, you start to fear what it is. Oh God, don't tell me I've got a debt or whatever it might be. That thought and that feeling has started to create. Except, if you've watched Abraham, you've got a 17-second window where you can refocus. So there's three types of thought, three types of images that we hold on the mind. There's memory, there's all the information we get from our five senses, and therefore the 3D world, and there's imagination. And the subconscious mind can't tell the difference between them at all. But memory, hey, you know what? We've lived it, we've felt it, we've got feelings around it already. The five senses, we're in it. We've got feelings, we've got perspectives, we've got stories around all of it. Those two are easy to feel. So imagination is the one that's powerful. It's the one that can change everything for us. We've got conservative thought, which is thought about memory or the 3D world. And then we've got transformative thought, which is imagination. So because imagination is new to us, we haven't got that predetermined programming, that automatic reaction to it, that feeling. So we've got to create feeling around our imagination to actually manifest it. And this is where most people fall down, because they can't really quite conjure the feeling. They try it once or twice and they give up. Nothing's happened. Oh, I'm doing it wrong. And you abandon it. But if you can actually continue to do your visualizations around your goal, keep bringing that picture up on the mind, that repetition will start to get that image into the subconscious, where the subconscious accepts and believes everything. Once the image or the thought around it, the story you've created around the receiving of your goal gets into your subconscious then gets busy on your behalf, creates the frequency in the body, starts inspiring you into some sort of action that will bring it into the physical. So a lot of people think that there's a divine mind and then there's the human mind. And I get where that comes from, because the human mind is very much around memory and the things that the five senses show to us. The divine mind is imagination. And we get into divine mind every single day, more than you know, because the divine mind, you get that bill, it might not even be a bill, it's an envelope in the mail. It's a window envelope. You start thinking the worst. You've now created a story and you've got divine imaging happening. You're in your imagination. You're creating a story. You're using your creativity against yourself. And this is how deliberate creation works. when you're imagining something that you desire, well, let's go with the 3D reality for a moment. We're focused with our five senses. We see around us what we see, we hear, we have perspectives on it all. We've got stories about it. And because of that, we keep creating it. But notice how we feel like we're in our 3D world. When in reality, our 3D world is happening in our consciousness. It's in us and it's projected out. We think we live amongst all this stuff, but actually we're a sea of energy inside of a sea of energy. So because we are immersed in this thought, in this belief around this world, it appears around us. We're in it. And when most people use their imagination, they think of it. They stay in this 3D world and they think about it. They're not actually in it. So to create using our imagination, we've actually got to get into the picture. We've got to take ourselves out of the 3D reality we are in our mind, and we have to take ourselves to the reality that we desire through our goal. And that's the key to manifesting. Because when you can take yourself in the imagination and put yourself in the scene so that you're not looking at yourself, because if you're looking at yourself, you're still looking from somewhere towards your goal. You've actually got to look through your eyes and be in that world. And that's the magic of manifesting. Because when you can put yourself in that scene and it becomes so real and it feels natural, the feelings will come. Because when it feels natural, your subconscious mind is going to pick that up as reality and it's going to work on our behalf. And how powerful is that? So we must be thinking from inside of our goal, not about our goal. Most of us don't believe our imagination is true. We think it's fairy tales. You know, we grew up like that. You know, how many of us were told as kids that we should grow up, get out of your head and start living in the real world? You know, that was something that was told to me by lots of teachers. You know, and I used to be the best at role playing as a child. I loved dressing up and I could role play all day, all weekend. You know, I'd take my dolls to bed. You know, I'd be in that role play all the time. And then I got to the point where all the other kids around me weren't doing that anymore. And I was embarrassed, you know, to keep continuing that. But our imagination is so important. You know, we spoke about the higher faculties of mind, and this is why we were given them. You know, I've had a lot of people say to me, I don't know what my purpose in life is. I don't know what I want. We came into this world in the image and creation of God. God is a creator. We are creators. We are gods in our own world. And if we can't accept that, we're never going to be able to create the world that we desire. Yes, we can use lots of physical effort and we might win, but until we change the inside, it's not going to be permanent. And I've seen that for myself over and over. You know, I've had the best of times and I've had the worst of times, because up until I've discovered, you know, really and truly what deliberate creation is about, I was rearranging the image. I wasn't changing the cause, the source of where it was all coming from. A lot of people visualize, and even if they're visualizing correctly from inside the picture, they'll visualize of a morning and then they'll step out of that visualization and live in the physical world all day. And that's not going to work either. If 95% of your day you are in a world of the physical that you believe is true, then how can you create what you desire? Because each time you leave your imagination and step back into the physical, you're cancelling out your belief in your imagination. Yeah, that was fun visualising. I feel really awesome, but let's get back to reality. You know, that's saying that reality isn't real, that imagination isn't real. So as we go about our day, we have to, of course, we've got, you know, a life in this 3D physical world. But if we don't give feeling to it, we actually stop feeding this reality. You know, what we give attention to expands. If we don't give attention with feeling to the world around us, we can actually create something different. So you could be in your kitchen cooking dinner for your family in your current reality, but in your imagination you could be in your dream house doing the same thing. Or you might be preparing for, you know, a beautiful party, or, you know, a picnic to take away somewhere. You know, or you could be, you know, I heard a good example. A nurse was actually taking blood pressure, you know, in the hospital during her day, but in her mind she was on the beach and she was doing something completely different. You know, when you can work from wherever you're working, but imagine yourself in the environment you want to be in, then you're creating that environment because you're feeling natural in that environment that you're imagining. So we become what we choose to believe. And that brings me back to self-image too. You know, who we believe we are. We can't outperform our self-image. So we've got to believe that we have the ability to create. That our mind is part of the divine mind. That we have the ability to create absolutely anything we desire. When we choose to become who we want to be, you know, that confident, that abundant, that happy, that hello Mara, that self that's living the dream. You know, you've got to give way to the feelings of this new self, the experiences, you know, the new ways that you be able to give, the new meaning that you give to your life, to your day, the way you see other people. You know, all of this is all tied up with who we're living today. We've got a set of beliefs around who we are today in our 3D world that keeps creating our 3D world. When we can shift that self into the self who's living the dream and really feel it and think from that place as well as act from that place, make decisions from that place, then that place must become. And the more intense our thought and our feeling is, the quicker it's going to manifest. So, I have a goal card and I connect with that absolutely several times a day. When I'm wearing something with a pocket, it's in my pocket, because every time I touch that goal card, I connect to the vision of the goal. I connect in my imagination to that image and to that feeling and to that posture of myself in that state. On my goal card, I've got a sum of money that I'm manifesting. But when I visualise, I don't actually see that sum of money. I see the lifestyle that this sum of money is giving me. I live in that lifestyle, and that's how we manifest. The sum of money really is the umbrella for the lifestyle that I desire. And in that lifestyle, it's doing the things that really light me up. It's empowering others. It's being able to share this information on a much bigger scale, to get it out to the world that needs to hear it. And nobody needs to hear it unless they're asking for it. And that was something that really, it still trips me up sometimes. I'm so passionate about this because I know what the potential of each one of us is, and I see people in pain because of the world they're living in. But that world is perfect for them right now. And until people have got an asking, I can't shove this down anyone's neck. It's like taking that horse to water. So looking for a solution in the 3D physical world is rearranging the image. There's plenty going on in the world that lots of people are upset about right now. And so many people are in an uproar about it. They're, doing lots of things to try and change the circumstances. But they're not taking responsibility for themselves. They're not changing themselves. They're not seeing a different world. They're fighting the existing world, and that just doesn't work. So, when we are actually living in our imagination, in our desire, we are aligned with divine creation, and there is no fear. No fear at all. There is no problems. And the moment we introduce anything that feels like fear or a problem, we've disconnected from our creation, from our creative mind, back into our 3D physical world. So we've gone from transformative thinking back into conservative thinking, thinking from the past program, from our past paradigm. So, if I was to make a suggestion for you moving forward, I would ask you to become very, very aware of your feelings, knowing that your feelings are your guidance system. When you're feeling uncomfortable, it's always because you've got a thought that is in opposition to your programming. So if that thought is something that's moving you towards your goal, and that fear is coming up because you're actually in the stretch, then just focus again towards where you're going, knowing that the fear is going to disappear once you fully step into that self. And if the fear is coming from that other voice in your head, which is saying, oh, you'll never do it, this stuff doesn't work, you're not good enough, you've been trying this for years, just give up, let that go. If it brings up a memory from the past, a bad reaction, say, oh yeah, that's just telling me that I'm in the stretch, that I'm creating a new image, and I'm not going to pay any attention to it. If we can give no attention at all to those negative thoughts, as we're building our positive thoughts, our negative thoughts are actually going to shrivel. They're going to disappear. So we don't need to actually work on all of our negativity. We've got to work on the opposite. We've got to build our belief in the world we desire. We've got to build our belief that our thoughts are actually creating. They're creating in every single moment. They're either perpetuating what we've already got, or if we're in imagination, we're creating something new. And I know where I love to play. So thank you, Maura, for joining me today. My apologies for not putting up a message yesterday. Completely lost it out of my mind. I was so wrapped up in, packing and driving. But, today is a powerful lesson, and, it really needs to be revisited over and over and over, because this is where, the truth hits the road. This is where manifestation really happens. So have an absolutely beautiful day, beautiful evening, and I look forward to connecting again. Bye for now.